Poso maoni wiak, waiwanan kitanan ni mua e yoski piataya posnotaman e yum MITW Podcast. A yospis piataya posnapi notaman e ne hisikimaka e yoso matnamin e hakihi.
Welcome to the Menominee Indian Tribe of Wisconsin podcast. We are your hosts, Gary Dodge
and Sheena Wapus. On this episode, we are joined by guest Vaughn Bowles, Public Information Officer for the Menominee Indian Tribe of Wisconsin. I would like to remind people, we request you send in your COVID-19 related questions to us at podcast@mitw.org. Welcome, Vaughn.
Hello.
So Vaughn, we did receive a question in from a listener asking if the clinic will provide COVID antibody testing at some point. Are they consider doing this at all?
So speaking with Dr. Schlegel and the other health professionals at the clinic, they currently don't have plans to do any of the antibody testing at this point. Part of the reason is the number of false negatives that pop up with those tests, and so they don't think it's an effective use of the clinic's time or fiscal resources and stuff to jump into the antibody testing at this point. And so they're just doing the viral testing to see if people currently have COVID.
Okay, and can you transmit COVID after you are vaccinated?
No, and that's kind of the point of the vaccine. It's to have you safely build up an immunity to the COVID virus without being able to spread it within the community. And so some of the vaccines that are currently in distribution allow the body to generate the COVID spike protein intercellularly, and that's taken up by macrophages and then T cells and B cells, which produce antibodies in the end. And so you can generate antibodies without generating virus and spreading it to the community.
So Vaughn, what are some ways people can stay safe while out shopping for the holidays?
Shop online. Yeah, that's what I've started doing, and I know it sounds flippant, but that's the safest way to do shopping at this point. If you do go out, just observe some of the safety protocols that we've suggested before, with making sure you're distancing yourself from other shoppers. Utilizing masks cuts down on the amount of respiratory particles released, so wear a mask because it can also help protect you a little bit. And keep the number of trips to a minimum when possible. And wash your hands when you come home with soap and water for 20 seconds.
Is it safe to visit family over the holidays?
I'm going to give you, it depends. I mean, there are ways to visit family that are safer than others. You could meet outdoors. If you are meeting with family members, maintaining that 6 foot space in between them and utilizing masks definitely makes it safer. At this point, though, because of how high the spread of COVID is on the reservation, I would say not really. And we're suggesting that people at this time, celebrate the holidays with their immediate family. I know that's kind of a downer, especially around Christmas. But, you can always call or, Skype or video chat with family members too. And while it's not the same, this also isn't a forever change. And so if we can keep ourselves safe through this time, we'll have more opportunities to celebrate down the road.
Okay, and then is there any tips for those who will be visiting their family over the holidays, or even families that are just celebrating together, like immediate families?
Yeah, so the CDC recommends pretty similar tips that they did around Thanksgiving. Celebrating with immediate households, traveling as little as possible helps reduce your likelihood of being exposed to the virus. When you're with family, mask up, social distance, don't share food. Use disposable dishes and utensils, stay out of high traffic areas like the kitchen, and wash your hands frequently. Usually are the best routes to staying safer during family gatherings.
All right, thank you, Waimanen, for listening to the Menominee Indian Tribe of Wisconsin podcast. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Stitcher. You can also listen to the podcast on menominee-nsn.gov under the Community tab. Keep up to date by following us via Facebook at MITW Podcast. We do weekly updates with Vaughn and welcome any community questions you have regarding COVID-19. Please send them in to us via email at podcast@mitw.org.